Okay, folks, welcome to Monday. Monday. We got a pile of stuff that we brought in from the garage. And the stuff that we worked on yesterday in our airbrush session. So the first thing we did was we sealed these two puppies. We sealed the Panzer III M's. So I'm going to want to glue them. It's kind of a shame to glue them. I mean, the tracks look nice. All that's going to be hidden inside the shirtson. Another reason not to like the shirtson. One look that I actually like, and I don't know if I can reproduce that with anything that I have. Let me take a look at something while I'm thinking about it. Panzer III L's. They produced, like if you see Kursk Panzer IIIs, they're almost always going to be these. And this is just the latest version that they had. The Panzer III M's are the latest version of the Panzer IIIs that they had with the long barrel 50. The hold on one second. Be right back. Well, as they say in Canada, sorry about that. I was saying is if you see any Panzer IIIs at Kursk, they almost always are going to be shown as Panzer III M's, which is the latest version of the Panzer III. Technically, the N is later, but it has the short-barreled cannon. What did I do with it? Put it up here? Yeah, put it up here. And if you're wondering why these don't have antennas, well, they're shown folded up on the model. Okay. This is technically the latest version of them. They all have the weighting type muffler, which I don't really like the way it looks because it's a big rust bucket thing on the side, but that's what it is. It's supposedly to let them wade through deeper water and not knock out the engine from not getting oxygen. So, but anyways, if you see Kursk Panzer IVs, Panzer IIIs, they're almost always shown as Panzer III Ms, which are the latest ones. Now, with that said, they only made 250 of these. And they made, I don't know how many they made of these, but they actually made more of these than they did these. However, the previous version, the L, they made, and I'm just ad-libbing numbers here, about 1,200 of them. So they made a lot more L's that ended up having this Schertzen on the side of them. Well, here's an L right here. I actually have a ton of L's because I have a bunch of die-cast ones, but they don't have the Schertzen armor on it. So I'm wondering, I could probably nah, it's just not going to work. I need to find some loose Schertzen and maybe modify this one as an L with Schertzen on it. Now, there was some that went around in Kursk that did not have the Schertzen on them, but it's very rare to find ones that have the Schertzen on the hull and not on the turret. It's usually, it's actually pretty frequent to find ones around the turret and not on the hull. So that's what I actually like to do with this model. This is a Revell of Germany model that was sent to me by Les from the UK, and it's a beautiful model. The Revell of Germany stuff is fabulous. It's not beginner friendly because it has separate link track, but if you're used to putting separate link track together, it's honestly it's much better. So that's what I wanted to take a look at. So let's put this Panzer III L back. Yeah, this is what it looks like. This actually is a die-cast one, the one I'm going to grab here. Do I have two of them in Armor Dark Yellow? Yeah, I do. I have two of them in Armor Dark Yellow. But unfortunately, this is a die-cast metal tank that's been repainted. Unfortunately, the person that did the casting, if you look at the top of the turret, the hatch is actually inside out. So whoever created this didn't really know what the hell they were doing. So this is a hatch, it's not removable. And if you look at it, you can see those two little deviations. That's the padding that goes on the inside of the hatch. So the Panzerführer, when he's gotten a bumpy ride, he doesn't beat his noggin yet. He's going to save himself till the Russians come beat his noggin in. But that's supposedly to keep him from doing that. It's actually flipped inside out. It's all one piece. There's no way to do that. But whoever was designing this model really didn't know what the hell they were doing. Hey, it's just one of those things. So we have two of these. And we will put them back where they go. Okay, so we need to glue these together, which I just did them that way just as ease of assembly, ease of painting. I mean, look at the track. It looks really nice. It's a shame that we have to hide it there, but shit happens. So we're going to use super glue for that, even though I hate super glue. Not a fan. And hopefully I have one that is relatively full. I was going to buy some at the store. I was at a store whose name will not be mentioned over the weekend. I'm not a fan of that store. And I didn't buy any because super glue doesn't go for $6 each. I'm not going to pay for it. So I got to remember to Amazon some. All right, let's put the super readers on. That's the first thing. We're going to do all kinds of different stuff. And this is a bad guy painting session because this is all bad guys. This is all Germans. Of course, I could be doing Russians too. They're also bad guys. The other bad guys. Okay, so I'm going to, hopefully we got enough of this stuff here. I do not want to put it on the inside of this. I don't want to put it on the outside of this, in case it squeezes out. What can I put on here that's heavy? Well, how about I just hold it for a few? Anyhow, so we got the other items are the ones that I took out there to spray. And we'll be doing a brown wash on them. That did it. Okay. Let's check for finish on here. Should be about the same. This Vallejo flat spray is incredible. I mean, it is flat as, it is really, really flat. Incredibly so. I'm gonna have to hold this one down for a little bit longer. Okay. Plastic Soldier Company tanks, of course. And then I want to show you something that I did yesterday, and I'm not going to say I discovered it. I certainly am not the discoverer, but I looked at some other people doing the same thing. I tried it on my own. It's pretty easy to replicate. I was doing it the other night. I was doing it last night, and I'll show you how it turned out. And I think it's going to make a difference. All right, when we put this stuff, we want to put it on the inside here so it doesn't smooge out. Probably got too close to it anyways. All right, let's start there. Make sure nothing's on your hands, or I have to fix how cool this turned out. All right, we're just gonna hold this on for a little second. Hello, how's Painting the Bad Fellows going? Really well. I would get really jealous when I would see people's Dunkelgelb look really good, but I think I've managed to replicate it in a way that I'm really happy with. It's a really weird color. You know, if you take it outside, it looks one way. If you put just green camouflage, it looks greenish. It's just a very strange color. I mean, every color technically is probably the same way, but you have this vision of what this color looks like, and sometimes you see anything between mustard yellow and almost like a desert color. So it is the same thing with with many other colors. It's just this one is just kind of prolific. good? Sehr gut? All right. All right, so we got this other Panzer IIIM. All right, let's set this guy off to the side. So let's take a look at what we did yesterday, and I'll show you kind of my little code cracking thing that I did. I would just, I think it looks really good. Okay, so we had a problem with the green yesterday, but I airbrushed for like 4 hours before there was a problem. So here's a Martyr 3, also from Plastic Soldier Company, and unfortunately the part that's the brightest is gun breech, but we're going to straighten all that out. But this ought to be a really nice looking model, and it looks kind of circus-like. And that's actually the look I was going for, because there's lots of pictures of them that look circus-like, polka dot. All right, and then we've got this one. I was planning on putting green on it as well, and then the green crapped out. I'm just going to leave it with just the red-brown on it. And then the third one of that set is, let's get this out of the way. Oh, might as well just put them there. The third one, I'm just going to leave plain. I'm just going to leave it plain. Plain yeller. Okay? Then we got 3 half tracks. I'm going to ignore these because I want all 3 of them to have green, and the green didn't work out. So we're not going to take them any further right now. This one, this 234/3, I'm going to do it in this color with just the brown on it. The Puma, everybody's favorite except Nordic's armored car. It's got the dark green stripes. And here's what I wanted to see. I've seen these people that do this. Oh, we have to put the Panzer IV together also, because it was falling. It was weird. It was almost like dry rot. It'd been glued so long ago. But I've seen lots of these people do this zenithal type painting. And I don't know if it's going to come out okay on this in the lighting here. Yeah, it's almost like it's too bright here. Let me see if I can dampen that a little bit. But you can tell that this area here is brighter than the sides. And I did that on purpose. There's lots of people that do that, and they're really masters at their craft. And I'm like, let me give it a shot at it. And it turned out pretty good. It's actually this is going to be a beautiful model, because the Zimmered on here is really, really nice. And I actually have a second one. It's just not assembled yet. But it's going to have 3-color camouflage. The green crapped out. And the thing I've been putting off forever is the Panzer I from, the Tiger one from Cromwell. And you can see it's a little undersized. It's 1/76 scale, but this model is just gorgeous. We've got to fix the barrel. It's a little kaput, but got damaged in the move. And then we've got the Panzer IV-H. That's just falling apart all of a sudden. Would I glue that back together? So we're going to glue the Panzer IV back together. These two are going to get the other 2 colors of the camouflage. Next time I do fire up the airbrush, that's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. And then all these guys, because these are basically how I want them painted, are going to get a brown wash on them. So that's what we're going to do. And then while that's drying, we can base some vehicles. Works out. Martyr's pretty nice tank destroyers, look-wise. I don't like the Martyr M. I don't have any of those, which has the superstructure all the way in the back. It looks stupid. This Martyr is kind of ugly. The Martyr 2 is ugly as well. The Martyr, the 3M and the 2 are ugly. And then there's an in-between one that has the superstructure in the middle, and it's on the Panzer II chassis. It looks pretty good too. Okay, so let's get the weld cement here. Zimmerit's always nice at 20 millimeter. There's none in 76 unless you find a resin kit. Have to get creative and make your own. Yep. Well, there's some vehicles that have to have them, but I don't think I'm ever going to apply it. You ever seen a Panzer III with Zimmerit? I'm sure there's one floating around out there. They wouldn't have come out of the factory that way. But, okay, this gets glued like that. Pretty easy. All right. This is one of the nicest models I've ever put together. I had this model a long time, and I waited to put it together until I got some better skills. My model building skills are a lot better than they used to be. Mainly because of the internet. I've watched other people like, that's a good way to do that. I'm more patient than I used to be. Let's make sure that we put the machine gun in the correct place. Created some crews or handed Zimmerit kits to do in the field. It's definitely something he did. You see it often, definitely exists out there. They're probably as rare as a Panzer III with Schertzen on the hull, but not on the turret. That's pretty freaking rare. Okay. This is a beautiful model. And she's going to go right back in the box because she's going to get 3 color. All right. I did a couple of vehicles before I had an airbrush. I can do something like this using a regular brush. It's not that difficult. And make it look airbrushed. But this is like a play toy or something. And it really needs to have this barrel glued down. All right. Brown wash. Let's take all this, pour it in there, clean that out, and then we're going to use this as a container to put the strong tone in. And we're going to strong tone these things. For an Airfix Panzer IV, I'm converting it into an Aus H. I have to make the Zimmerit. A good method I've been using is a heated screwdriver. Works pretty well. There is a company, a Chinese company, that makes a kit, a little roller. It's like a 3D printed thing. It runs like $15 or something like that. They sell it on eBay, and you can just roll it on there. I really hate the look of a Panzer IV with Zimmerit on it. I absolutely hate it. It just looks sloppy. And when they have the numbers on it, it also looks sloppy. Now, with that said, I painted some sloppy numbers on this Panther. And I think they look the part. I was concerned how it was going to turn out. And then I did it, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know why I worried about this. Because if you look at pictures of some of these Panthers, especially the ones at Normandy, I want to say Panzerlehr. Panzerlehr had big ass freaking numbers like that. I'm gonna take a picture of this and show you because it's gonna be difficult to. It actually looks pretty freaking good. Now this is a Britannia Panther. I am not a fan of Britannia. I really hate their figures. That's right, I said it. And but I think it turned out okay. I think it turned out okay. Pretty heavy too. Just needs a Panzerführer up there. Let's close this back up. I will not be on tomorrow night. I got the model meeting I plan on attending. Strong tone. Used to have so much trouble with barrels breaking. Good thing I'm more careful now. Yeah, we're all more careful, hopefully. Zimmer tool, really nice part makes it, but it's more 35th scale. Not to mention you're also thinning the putty down a bunch. Yeah, I'd rather just do other hurdles. Oh, elastic. Got some elastication going on here. All right. Oh! Well, that's interesting. Wow, considering what kind of a fucking mess that could have been. That was a freaking miracle. Okay. Wow. Is there one mixing ball or two mixing balls in there? Time for the tweezers. That could have been a disaster. No, we'll fucking leave that in there. We don't need that for anything. There's the mixing ball. Probably take that out and reuse it for something else. All right, we'll leave everything in there for the time being. I'll say we're done with that one. What's that machine gun come from? This machine gun goes to some vehicle. I don't remember what vehicle that goes to right now. Anyhow, that could have been bad. That could have been really bad. Why is it bad guy painting? Germans. Of course, I could be painting Russians too. They're bad guys too. Oh, you're not kissing the ass of the Soviets? No, I'm not. They're a bunch of fucking communists. Bad guy painting. I had to come up with something creative. That could have been really bad. That could have been just a huge mess to clean up. You know? Everything's fixable. But it could have been a... Hey, count it as a win. All right, what am I going to hold this thing with so I don't get it all over me hands? Let's do this. I haven't had too many bad messes. I had one where I was playing with yellow, and I got, a big old wad of yellow. That's why I do it on this. It's less of a problem cleaning this shit up. You consider that fighting words as Germans. Well, you shouldn't have shipped people off in boxcars. It's not World War One. I don't think the Germans are the bad guys in World War One. But in World War II, yeah, they're bad guys. They're fancy dressers, but they're still the bad guys. All right, we're going to go and do. But the Soviets are the bad guys too. I said there's somebody who was on one of the groups I'm a member of on Facebook, and it was a picture of a Yak plane. This is like a couple weeks ago. The picture of a Yak 9, beautiful aircraft. Yak 9. And this guy's comment was, well, now with the invasion of Ukraine, every time I see the Red Star, I think of them as the bad guys. I'm like, they always were the bad guys. You know? That's nothing new. We're just going to leave this one in the yellow color. Should be just fine. And we got some crew members that can go in these things. Almost like the Soviets never starved the population before and after the war. Yeah, I can't stand watching Soviet films because, they're like, I'm fine with them being, defend the motherland and all that stuff after, but, they paint it like everything was hunky dory before the Germans invaded. It's like, no. No, and then the Germans invaded and they made it worse, obviously. Germans could have beaten the Russians if they just weren't so fucking racist. But then they wouldn't have invaded. You looking at things from the viewpoint of a sane person. It's a good thing that they were such racist. Otherwise, that would have been really bad. You knock out the Soviet Union out of the war, and the world's not a better place. That's for damn sure. Our work uniforms look better. I mean, if we're not exterminated. If they decide not to exterminate us, we'll have a better working uniform. I'd rather be alive than wear fancy clothes. And I'm not necessarily one of the groups of people they did go after, but eventually, you run out of people and you're like, well, I don't like these guys either. I don't like people with green eyes. I don't, I'm screwed, They come up with some excuse. Wow, this looks really freaking good. This stuff is, this stuff is almost like an oil wash, where it gets everywhere. I really like Plastic Soldier Company stuff. Unfortunately, I wish they had a better name for the company because it's just kind of generic sounding. Like, What's the name of that manufacturer? Plastic Soldier Company. Yeah, I know, but what are they called? No, no, I mean that's what they're called. They're plastic PSC. No, I mean I know they make things out of plastic, but what's the name of the company? I don't know. They couldn't figure out how to do it. They're making a lot of stuff out of 3D printed. I don't know. My only concern with 3D printed stuff is just not as durable as these. These vehicles are very durable. Wow, that looks really good. It's actually a good looking vehicle. The Germans make good looking vehicles for the most part. But then just about all vehicles I can see the value in what they look like. Ever tried white glue make really muddy tracks? No. Now, this one, same vehicle, but we already got some stuff on here. We already got the camouflage. The problem is the more vehicles I build, the more vehicles I want to do. That really looks stellar. And this strong tone is a better product than the Agrax Earthshade. Even though I'm not a fan of Army Painter stuff, it behaves weird, but it behaves less weird than the new formulated Agrax Earthshade. And these colors I'm being softened a little bit because we're going to end up dry brushing the base color over it when we're done with this. Of course, we're not going to be able to touch this. This has some increased drying time. But yeah, I can't watch Russian movies. They're worse than the propaganda films of like the 1950s and stuff. And the Czech 38 just makes a really nice chassis. It's got nice road wheels on it. It's just an attractive looking vehicle. It really is. Okay. And the third one. Yeah, that spill could have been really. It could have ruined my evening. It's like, well, we know what we're doing now. Let me go ahead and pull this thing off while I'm thinking about it. Should have done it first. Ooh, I like. Oh, it's a raisable gun? Why? Oh, crap. This part got loose. Yeah, we'll glue you on back later. Shit. This is how we get messy. All right, it's time to do this now. Fuck. I'm going to leave it like that, and we will put it together later. Must have pushed it down too far. It got too good of a grippage on there. Let's put this back on. This is a real reality show. Nothing is staged, and things don't always go according to plan. Russian war movies always been great. Have great tanks, but their action is outright strange, especially T-34 movie. Well, I like the action in the T-34 movie. I don't like the storyline, which is just junk. I also don't like the Jurgen Prochnow U-boat captain looking tank officer. That's just weird. Like, give the dude a shave. But I like all that slow motion. That's how my wargaming is. It's basically in slow motion. That's how my skirmish wargaming is. So that part I like, but the story is just junk. It's just a junk story. And we've got more of this strong tone if we need it. I may need more. But I tried watching that Pamfilov's 28. That's crap. The action in it's great. Those I swear they're real Panzer IVs. Now I gotta stop the video and take a look. But the Russians want to. They're interested in making the German vehicles look correct. The battle on the bridge is outright wacky. Yeah, the ricochet thing. Yeah. Yeah, I like the one where it was that T-34 was like stuck inside the haystack. And I like the part where, it showed what happens to a tank even though the round doesn't penetrate, where they're like stunned and stuff. But again, why do I watch war movies? I want to see stuff moving around in action. And that movie did it. That movie showed stuff being, moving around. Storyline, I don't care about it. I tried watching Fury again with my daughter, and we couldn't stand it. I couldn't. I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was okay, except for the ending sequence with are there no Germans with a Panzerfaust? Well, it just ended that. Panzerfaust's a pretty common weapon, but I hated Fury the second time around. I didn't care about any of those guys. Maybe that was the point. I don't know. Well, this didn't go according to plan, but we'll make the best out of it. Got everything there? Cool. All right. Now for the two that are toys, because these literally are toys. Um, This is a rodent. Oh no, this isn't a toy. This one is. I forgot that I think I found where this is made online by a. You can get them for like $4 a piece. They come from China, and they make this vehicle too. That's why I was thinking this one was a toy. Now this is a rodent kit. I'm actually going to go ahead and grab this by hand and try not to squeeze too hard and slop this on the undercarriage. Rodent kit, definitely not for beginning modelers. They're Polish, I think. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Now, we'll go back. There's two mixing balls in there. Interesting. Yeah, and T-34 is a hell of a lot better than White Tiger. White Tiger is like a bad trip. I see the Russians as bad guys. They always were, man. This is gonna look good. Now the only problem with Rodin is a lot of their details aren't very deep. So they're there. They're just not very deep. They're not exaggerated like they are in Plastic Soldier Company. I prefer them to be a little exaggerated, just so you could see them at a distance. Oh, now this one's coming. No, it's not coming apart. It just looks like it was. Okay, let's make sure we got some wash in there. Okay. And last but not least, the puma. The tiger itself was an interesting attempt. Apparently, they planned to make a full replica tiger for the film, but how to get the movie finished. Yeah, I don't remember what they used, but it seems wide enough for a tiger. It's just not tall enough. And then there's another movie that I saw. I don't remember what it's called, and it has a KV-1 and a couple T-34s, and they're going across some kind of a field and they're firing. I don't. Is it white tie? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm getting all blended together. But you know, I watch those kind of movies because I want to see the hardware. Well, the Russian movies actually do a good job showing the hardware. That's what I'm there for. Now this is all metal. But all those movies are kind of a blur to me. Somebody was telling me about Europa. I watched it a long time ago, back when you mail order the CDs and they sent them to you. Was that Netflix that used to do that? I want to say that's how they started. But I mean, I just can't remember if it was them or not. And then one I saw the most horrible depiction of war ever in any movie. Come and See. It's a Russian movie. That's what they say. I didn't think it was that graphic. Maybe for 1985, but not by today's standards. All right. Well, we killed that one. Nordic left before I was painting the Puma. Didn't give him a chance. Didn't get a chance to rise on him about it. Heard about that movie? Only seen segments, but it does show more than other movies would dare. Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube in its entirety. The Skylab cometh. Welcome, dude. When's that eclipse coming up, anyways? I mean, it doesn't go over my part of the world, but that's a space thing. You should know about it. You're my official space dude. I'd care about space stuff if it had guns on it. It doesn't have guns, I'm not interested. April 8th. Now, that's still a ways off. They're making like a big deal out of it. It doesn't go over Utah either, does it? It cuts like Pennsylvania through Ohio, probably straight through Missouri, through Texas, kind of at that angle. Probably won't even be able to notice where we're at. April 8th. Is that a weekend? I bet it's a work day. Well, odds are it's a work day. Got a lot more work days than weekends. Especially if you have to go in on a weekend. Even more work days. Skylab, I know you were semi-retired. You were doing space kind of stuff for a living, weren't you? You were doing something that was related to space stuff, weren't you? This is the one that's a toy. Where's the turret? Oh, we already have the turret done? Okay. Cool. Well, this is really interesting. I'm gonna leave those two mixing balls. I may need them for something else. I don't know. Wipe this off. And let's get rid of this sticky thing before it creates issues for us. And put the strong tone away. So this must be the soft tone. It is. Okay, perfect. All right, I don't know why my hand sanitizer isn't here. But I gotta go grab that. I'll be right back. Okay. Now, what do we feel like doing? I still don't feel like putting little bushes on some of these vehicles. So I think what I'm going to do is this shit off. I'm going to dry brush the SU-76s in the Russian green. They've already had this treatment done to them. And they're here. They're in the way. I'm going to do them. And they're bad guys too. Just to prove that the Soviets are bad guys too, we'll do some Soviets. Nordic must have been smoking stuff. The Germans aren't the bad guys. Really? In the Second World War, really? No, I get it. Some people didn't know what was going on. I'm going to say that that's a very small majority. Some people just didn't fucking care. I mean, I get that the Germans wanted to start another war because it's payback. They kind of got screwed out of the first one. They should have won the First World War. They didn't. Okay. So there's your payback. But shipping your own people off to... That's just... No. That's just stupid. That's stupid on so many levels. That's worse than stupid. U.S. olive drab. Absolutely not. Let's see. Where is the Russian green? Camouflage olive green. This is the new one. And let's get... You know, like I said before, I would not want to wear any kind of shirt that had any of the, German divisional units on it. They don't even have to be an SS unit. They don't even have to have a swastika on them. I'm not wearing them, It sends the wrong fucking message. And I don't have any of my ancestors that were even persecuted in that war, nor were they, captured by Germans or anything like that. So just imagine if I did, I'd even feel stronger about that. So I got this game. I'm trying to think what game it is. Oh yeah, it's Call of Hell. I can never remember what it's called. Gates of Hell, Ostfront. And there's little quotes. I've mentioned this before. There's little quotes that happen in the loading screens, and one of the quotes was attributed to Erich Hartmann, who is the leading fighter pilot of the Second World War. 352 kills, most of them with a Messerschmitt 109, most of them on the Eastern Front. And he survived the war. And this quote that he has in there in the loading sequence, something like, the U.S. can't lecture us on racism because they had their military was segregated. I'm like, well, first of all, okay, I can see kind of a point in there, but I don't need a life lesson from somebody who fought for a regime that exterminated 6 million people just because they were of a certain group. It wasn't like we went and exterminated 6 million assholes. But don't worry, because they were assholes and the world's a better place because they're not here anymore. No, just random people. Kids that never done anything wrong. No, I'm not getting a life lesson from you there, Mr. Nazi scumbag. And the Soviets, I guess, were better in some regime because they'd ship anybody out. They'd ship everybody to Gulag and kill them. They didn't care what group you were. Equal opportunity offender. I don't agree with segregation. I don't agree with any of that stuff, but there's a big difference between segregating people and like shipping them off to a concentration camp. I mean, that's like the difference between, on a number line, a difference between a 2 and a 74. I mean, it's like, that's a big difference. And the nice thing about this dry brushing is it's dries so fast, hence the name dry brushing, you can basically grab it. And it's a non-issue. All right, let's get inside this compartment for Bolsheviks. I think these things were fairly fast too. I mean, they're on a light tank chassis. I mean, the T-70 is not the fastest vehicle, but it's certainly not the slowest. I'd think they'd be as fast as a T-34, which is a pretty fast tank. Definitely a clear distinction between the two. Not everyone understands. Yep. Big difference. Just like if you look at, one day I was on a tear and I'm like, all right, let me go, what's the 10 worst empires in world history, right? There's been some really bad stuff that's been happening, right? That's happened. And obviously it's a difference of opinion or whatever. But one, I was surprised. In the top 10 worst ones that the British Empire was included in one of them. I must have missed something. I mean, every nation's done bad stuff, but the British, really? Maybe they deserve to be on there, but they shouldn't even be close to the top 10. You got people like the Assyrians, freaking Nazis, communist regimes, infinitely worse than anything the British did. Nazis, Mongols. A lot of Mongol lovers. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. You can say, well, at least they give a chance to surrender. But, if these people come across a steppe riding horses, and you got a kingdom, and you've been the king of this land forever, and these people in barbaric looking clothes just show up and say, hey, you need to surrender your town or you'll be sorry. What are you going to do? I'm going to say, go fly a kite up your ass sideways. That's what I'm going to say. And then maybe, I'll end up getting killed by them and all my people enslaved. But I'm just saying, it's almost like they were kind of fair, if you surrendered without a fight. But if you put up a fight, it's going to be curtains for you. But those dickheads destroyed everything in their path. Libraries, they didn't give a shit. Infinitely worse than the British Empire. Okay. And the last one. I'm just going to give up on that. You were an educational planetarium director and assistant director of the Christa McAuliffe Space Education Center. Was an educational planetarium director and assistant director. We went to a planetarium recently, but we didn't go see the planet stuff. It was a show that they did there. The show was a bit trippy. And come to find out, yeah, it's a show that people sometimes go on those, hallucinogenics and go watch. Well, if snakes are coming out of the wall, do you really need to see a show that looks like a kaleidoscope? Probably not. You could have your own show in your own bedroom. I did go to the planetarium one. They've got one here at the college that I graduated from. Of course, I graduated from that college 30 years ago. And it's significantly different than when I left. I don't even recognize the place. And they added a planetarium. And it's cool, but you know how some people just tune out with history, some tune out military history. Like my wife, if we're watching somehow I talk her into watching something historical, which I just don't have that kind of charisma to be able to do that. She'll tune out, not hear anything. I do the same thing with space stuff. Once you start talking about things that are 1,000 light years away, I'm like, no. We don't know what's at the bottom of our oceans, but somehow what, light years away and stuff like that is. Or, oh, Betelgeuse might have exploded already, but it's so far away we won't know for, 100,000 years. I'm like, okay, yeah, no more. I tune that stuff out. Stuff inside our solar system, I'm cool with. Stuff much farther than that, I'm just like, I'm not a skeptic, but I just like tune it out. It's not going to concern. It's so far away that it's none of my business. But the solar system, yeah, I'm cool with the solar system. So let me ask you something, Skylab. This is a question for you. I don't know why I haven't thought about this before. Well, I didn't know you were director of a planetarium. Here's my planetarium question. You could probably imagine what it's going to be. Is Pluto a planet or not? Now, I'm old school. I'm going to tell you, yes, it's a planet. Because saying that, no, it's not a planet, it's a dwarf planet. Wait a second. Planet's in the fucking name. Does it really matter? I'm a traditionalist. I don't like things being reinvented just for the sake of them being reinvented. I don't care what India calls their new cities now. I'm still calling them Bombay, Calcutta, Madras. Still Burma to me. Dark sand. We're going to mix dark sand into this color. Again, I don't take the credit for this. I saw somebody on a video. It might have been Sonic Sledgehammer. I think it was him. I wouldn't have come up with this. I would have added white. And it wouldn't have looked as good. But I like planet stuff. I remember that episode of National Geographic that had all the moons of Jupiter and stuff. Io, the volcanic one or whatever, And my wife just flat out tells me she's creeped out by it. She's creeped out by the fact that, the universe is so big. Or I just think that there's shit we're never going to know. And it's okay, because it doesn't really affect us. What are you going to do? Worry about something else? But I like the solar system stuff. Because first of all, a lot of it's viewable with the naked eye, and we've sent stuff there, and it's really there. I'm sorry to put you to sleep. But if you say something like, Pluto's not a planet, it's an astromegadon or something, and you define what that is, okay, maybe. But if you say Pluto's not a planet, well, what is it? It's a small planet. It's in the fucking name, asshole. You know? You gotta call it something else, or I'm not buying it. And I got a beef with the people that name stars. There's some stupid name stars out there, and I don't, you know, stars should not be look like stars should not be named after somebody's Xbox handle. Okay? Luella 73. That's not a fucking star name. You gotta ditch the freaking numbers, okay? Don't name a star after your Xbox handle. And if you're going to use a number, 420 shouldn't be the number you go with. You know? You got that name a star thing, whatever. Do people really do that? They come up with some dumbass name just so they have to name it. Light Bright 420. What was that stupid naming thing that they did in Britain or whatever for the boat? Boaty McBoatums or something like that. I'd be like, yeah, I'm taking your money and you don't win. Like, there's a there's a there's a there's some roads that get named after people that donate a lot of money, and they have some silly ass names, and they get donated after the guy. If the guy's still alive where he does it, they rename it. I think when he dies, you just rename the damn thing. I'm not calling it McGillicuddy Perkins Rabinowitz Drive. It's just too stupid and too long. I don't give a shit how much money you donated. Okay. Now these guys are going to be a challenge because a lot of the times these guys are have markings that are just stupid. So if we look at SU 76 markings, oh, this one's kind of cool. It's got a number on the housing there, and it's pointed up in the air like it just don't care. That a pair of trousers? It is. Look at this. Wow. In Vienna, 1945. Yeah, this isn't a very good vehicle in 1945. But the only thing it can hurt on the front is a Panzer IV. And one of the things that is really weird, I don't really like the Su-76I. And basically, what those are, that's a conversion that was done on Panzer III hold things. I suspect a lot of them were captured like at Stalingrad. I'm not a fan of those. I don't really like captured vehicles anyway, so. Well, I'm going to have to cogitate that for a little bit. And it's like 9:30. So you guys aren't very active. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one a night. We're going to let this stuff dry. And then we will be back probably on Wednesday to, we're probably going to do this one first. And dry brush these guys and bring them up and give them some life. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of the night and have fun tomorrow. And we'll see you probably on Wednesday or Thursday.